Today is my EMEA preview, and we will also do a little Chinese power rankings at the end of this video today as well. And then tomorrow and the day after, we'll be doing Americas and Pacific as well. But first, EMEA. And some of you might know that I was on PlatChat, and on PlatChat, we had this as our EMEA power rankings. And there I am. You can see that my face is attached to this screenshot just here. However, what I will say about this particular, tier list and what we ended up with here is that a camel is a horse designed by a committee. And I think, unfortunately, in these kind of things, you end up with, just generally playing it pretty safe. So with that said, what we're going to do is go through all of the teams, talk about what moves they made in the offseason pretty quickly and what kind of grade I gave them on a video a while back and if anything has changed with that. Then we're also going to take a look at their kickoff previews and see, what those kickoff previews look like. And then we're going to put them on the power ranking as well. So let's just dive straight in and start with Apex. And for Apex, they're in this position. Okay, they lost Soulcast and Kayak to other EMEA teams. They brought in Fluorescent, as we know, and we still don't know who their fifth is. Now, at the time, I gave them an A, basically because they brought in Floor, and basically there's going to be a ton of ice. There's going to be a ton of interest on this team just from that one move. That is why I gave them an A, not necessarily because I think that these moves or whoever they bring in as their fifth will make them a great team. In terms of looking at who Apex play at kickoff, they actually have a winnable game to start off with, right? They play Gentlemates to start off with. I did have them winning that game. They then, if they did win that game, would play Team Heretics. Obviously not that great. I had Team Heretics winning that game. So in the lower round one, I actually did have them going out to Koi. Now, the good thing for Apex is that these two teams here, Apex and Gentlemates, they are matched with Team Liquid and Koi. Okay, so basically you can see here that Team Liquid would play Gentlemates in my pick'em. So basically, so long as you think that Foot and Team Heretics will win these games, Apex will probably have a decent start. They'll be playing, a Gentlemates who maybe they have a chance against, or then, in this lower rounds, they'll be playing a Koi or a Team Liquid. So then here is the power ranking then of all the teams. We're doing the same thing here, 1 to 10. Of course, we got 12 teams this year, so there will be 2 teams that are left off the list overall. And Apex, I think, is going to be one of them. This is because, again, I'm kind of penalizing them for not announcing who their fifth is yet, because that annoyed me. Also, for this power ranking, and as we do all 3 of these videos, wherever I initially put these teams, I am just going to leave them there. If that causes problems for me later down the line, so be it. Okay, next up we have BBL, and for BBL, they got rid of basically their whole team and brought in a completely new team, a non-Turkish team. It does have some Turkish players on it. At the time, I gave BBL, a C+ there. The reason I gave them a C+ is because I wasn't too happy with them getting rid of Elite, who was pretty good last year. Just felt like, are you upgrading that much from this team to this team? In terms of their kickoff game, BBL played Giants in their first game, and if they were to win that game, they would then play Fnatic. Now, unfortunately, unlike Apex, who I said had kind of a good pairing, for BBL, it's not that great of a pairing because I do have BBL going out in 2 games. I've got them losing to Giants just here, and then I do have them losing straight away to Karmine Corp. So on the power ranking then for BBL, I do think that they won't be atrocious. I think they'll be competitive, but I think I'm going to lock them into about 8th position. Okay, next up, we have Fnatic, who of course lost Durka and their coach Mini. They brought in Kayak. They brought in Milan, and of course they have Crashies as well now, who, is subbing in for Leo for however long that will be. I gave Fnatic a C there, which I kind of stick by, right? Losing Durka, I just think is probably long-term the wrong choice. In terms of kickoff, they will play whoever wins out of BBL and Giants to begin with. I had them winning that game, but then losing to Team Heretics here. I'm sure a lot of people probably have a similar sort of pick'em. If they did lose that game, then I've got them playing against Karmine Corp, but that is where I had them going out. I had them losing to Karmine Corp here in the lower round 3. And I do just want to point out that this power ranking is based on right now. So this is not a year-long power ranking and, where teams will end at champs. This is a, what do I think of them right now? And for right now, I think that Fnatic, I've got some doubts. And so I'm going to lock Fnatic into 4th. Okay, next up, we have Foot, who got rid of CNED, added in Zeus, and for that, I gave them an A-. In terms of their kickoff, they will play the winner of Koi or Team Liquid, which they probably should be pretty favored for there. They then will have to probably play Team Vitality, which obviously won't be easy. I actually had them winning that game, then losing to Team Heretics, and actually then losing in the lower final here versus Team Vitality. So basically, they beat Vitality once, but then they lose to Vitality the second time. And so for me, I'm expecting Foot to be pretty good, especially to start the season as well. Maybe they'll fade off towards the end, but I expect them to have a pretty good kickoff. So I'm actually going to surprise some of you here and lock them in to 2. Next up, we have Gentlemates, who also made a lot of changes to their team, as you can see just here. And for me, I gave Gentlemates a B+. Look, I think getting rid of most of their players made a bit of sense, right? They weren't that good last year. But when I was doing my pick'em, my mates' stocks clearly weren't so high because I had them losing to Apex just there and then going out straight away to Team Liquid as well. So not great. I think if I was doing the pick'em today, I probably would pick Gentlemates to win this game. But, you know, I probably wouldn't have them going too far. And so as you can kind of tell, I am a bit down on Gentlemates as a whole, but it wouldn't completely shock me if this team was a bit better than we thought. But for now, I am just going to put them into 10th. Okay, next up we have Giants, and they got rid of, you know, I mean, Fatino had been there a while, right? Hoodie, Redgar, you know, some fairly big names there. Bringing in Runner, Westside, and Thomasy. Obviously, Runner and Thomasy were in Tier 1 last year, did pretty well, and Westside, I think, is a pretty good player, so I gave them a B+ as well. And in terms of the pick'em, I had them beating BBL, but then losing to Fnatic. I actually kind of think that of these games, I actually might think that this is the one that, you know, maybe Giants could win that. And then I had them losing to NaVi as well coming off this. So, again, if I was doing the pick'em today, maybe this would be a bit different for Giants because I do feel a bit better about them. And that bit better about Giants is going to lead me to putting them into 5th place just here. I was actually surprised when I was on Plat Chat. I was kind of, you know, coming into it thinking I'm going to make a case here for Giants, and then both Shio and Sluggy were like, yeah, I agree. I was expecting some sort of pushback, but no, everyone was just kind of like, yeah, I think Giants will be pretty good. Okay, Karmine Corp obviously made some pretty massive changes here, and on paper have brought in some very big names, right? Like Sadex, Sugetsu, Elite, as I mentioned, was very good last year as well. I gave them a B+ for this. And for Karmine Corp, they play NaVi in the first game here of Kickoff, and then they would have to go in, if they did win that game, play Team Vitality, which obviously isn't the easiest matchup right here. After that, if they did drop down, I had them beating BBL here, beating Team Liquid, beating Fnatic, and then falling to Team Vitality again in the lower round 4. So clearly when I was doing this pick'em, you know, I had a decent sense that, you know, Karmine Corp could go on a bit of a run here. However, because I am locking these teams into place, you know, there are, you know, not so many options available to me here, so I think I'm just going to have to put them in 6th. Next up is Koi, who have made a couple changes here as well. Overall for this, for Koi, I gave them a B. You know, it's a bit of an unknown. Have they really upgraded? I don't know, but making changes also makes sense. Now, Koi played Team Liquid in their first game, which I do think is a winnable game for Koi, right? They could win this game, but then against Foot, probably not so easy. Here, Koi would play Apex. I had them winning that game, but it's possible they potentially play Gentlemates as well, you know, which again is a winnable game for Koi. So it's not unreasonable to assume that Koi might win a game here, but I don't have them going too far. And so for Koi, I am going to put them down here with Apex. I'm going to put them above Apex in 11, but I am going to put them down there. Next up is NaVi, who made quite a few changes, of course, getting rid of that kind of NaVi FPX team that we, of course, know from Masters Copenhagen, and bringing in Koala, Noob, Ruxic, and Hero. I gave them a C+. That said, though, in my pick'em, after I had them losing to Karmine Corp in the first game, which is not the easiest game there, I did then have them beating Giants, which, as I say, now I'm not sure I would predict that, but if they did do that, then they would get Koi, who, you know, they could definitely beat, until they eventually, in my pick'em, went out here to Team Vitality. But right now, I have the Doom filter on for NaVi. As I speak, I'm just not feeling that great about their chances overall. So again, maybe a little surprise here, but I'm going to lock NaVi into 9. Okay, next up, Team Heretics. No surprise here. They made no changes. I gave them an A. And for my pick'em, I had Team Heretics beating Apex, beating Fnatic, beating Foot, and then losing in the grand final because, well, they always lose in the grand final. However, that is not going to stop me from putting Team Heretics at number 1 in this power ranking, I think. It's just a safe bet. Is it possible that, you know, they do flounder and flop around a bit in this first Kickoff tournament? Yeah, absolutely, right? There's a lot of unknowns going into it, but I think that they are just the safest bet to be number 1. Okay, next up we have Team Liquid, who got rid of a couple of their players, brought in some, you know, some players who have some experience here at Tier 1, but overall I gave them a B for kind of, you know, not really feeling if necessarily this was a massive upgrade. And in the pick'em here, I had them beating Koi in the first game, then losing to Foot, then beating Gentlemates here, and then losing to Karmine Corp. So kind of just being that team that maybe can beat the teams below them, right? But when they play someone who's a bit better than them, maybe they just lose. And that is exactly where I'm going to put them on this power ranking as well, as just the made 7th team, right? The team that can, you know, probably beat the ones below, but, you know, isn't really challenging too much above, just is kind of steady in the middle. And then finally we have Team Vitality, who obviously brought in some absolutely massive names, and I gave an A+ to. Now in my pick'em here, I had Team Vitality winning their game against Army Corps, then losing to FUT the first time, but then coming into the lowers and going on a lowers run, beating NaVi, beating Army Corps, getting their revenge on FUT, and then beating Team Heretics in the grand final and being one of the 2 teams to qualify. And as there is only 1 spot left on this tier list, of course, they have to go into number 3. Now, you might be thinking, how are they your number 3 team if you have them winning the event? Well, I see basically, and in my pick'em you kind of saw it, that I had FUT beating Vitality once, Vitality beating FUT once. I've got these 2 like pretty close to each other essentially. So that was my EMEA preview. Right now though, we're just going to jump in to a China power ranking, and then tomorrow we'll do the Americas, and then the day after we'll do the Pacific previews as well. So let's dive into this Chinese power ranking, and we're going to do the same thing that I did before, right, where I'm just having to stick with wherever I put them initially. AG are going last. I think I'm going to put them last. BLG are kind of like middle of the pack, I think, upper middle of the pack, so I guess I'll go and put them 5th. DRG, I think, I mean, look, Vukashu will carry them to some wins, but I'm not sure how good the rest of the team will be. I think I'm going to stick them in 7. EDG will go up at the top. FPX, tough one, because FPX I don't think will be as good. You know what? I'm going to take a bit of a risk here. Not really thinking about it too much. I'm going to put them in 6 because I don't like them being above BL. I think I might go BLG over FPX, though it's close. They could be 4, but I'll lock them in 6 for now. JDG, I'm just going to put it 10. Nova, I'm just going to put it 8. Trace, look, if there's one team I've planned out, there is one team I might have planned out. But I think I'm going to put Trace 3rd. Tech, I'm going to put down here at 11th. Tyloo, I'm going to put in 9th. Wolves are going to, of course, go into 2nd. Hashtag Wolves win. And Gilai, I've ended up with something that I don't mind too much here. Gilai, I'm going to put into 4. And I actually feel not too bad about that. FPX could potentially upset me here, I think. But I think overall this isn't actually too bad.